Hi guys, how's it going? This is Ideas of Ice and Fire. Since my last Dune talk video went so well, where I was just kind of talking to you guys, not really in a scripted manner, I decided that I would make another one, and this time, I'm going to focus on the Butlerian Jihad, and also I think I'm going to get into some of my thoughts on AI in the real world. So, the Butlerian Jihad in the first chapter of Dune is described as the great revolt that took away a crutch. The Butlerian Jihad was basically the philosophical struggle of people versus other people who had come to utilize computers as a substitute or a crutch for developing their own abilities. So basically, before the Butlerian Jihad, everyone was dependent upon machines, thinking machines. Kind of like how we are now. Think about what would happen if the internet went away. Our society would pretty much crumble, would it not? So we are totally dependent on thinking machines. And another level of this is also in the very first chapter of Dune, and I'm going to read this entire quote. Once men turned their thinking over to machines in the hope that this would set them free, but that only permitted other men with machines to enslave them. Thou shalt not make a machine in the likeness of a man's mind, Paul quoted. Right out of the Butlerian Jihad and the Orange Catholic Bible, she said. But what the OC Bible should have said is, thou shalt not make a machine to counterfeit a human mind. So the idea is, if everyone is dependent on thinking machines, that means that the person that has control over those thinking machines has immense sway over everyone else. So once we gave ourselves over to machines in the hope that this would set us free, but that only permitted other men with machines to enslave us. This is the struggle of man versus man. And that key fact is basically the reason that I struggle so much with the Brian Herbert interpretation of the Butlerian Jihad, because it's very much about evil machines that enslave humanity, and it's not about that struggle of... It's not about the struggle of humanity, which is what Dune has always been about. It's always been about humans. So the Butlerian Jihad lasted 2 generations. This was from 200 BG to 108 BG, right? So by 108 BG, they had expunged all the thinking machines from the known universe. And BG just stands for before guild, but it's not actually before the guild because they did exist, but it's before their monopoly on space travel. So the result of the Butlerian Jihad ultimately is that there are no more thinking machines. They can't even have the simplest of thinking machines, not even calculators. All of it's banned, so it's very shaded. But you know, the interesting thing is, the God Emperor later on doesn't seem to really care about the Butlerian Jihad that much. He's kind of breaking the Butlerian Jihad secretly. So that's also very interesting. And you do have the fringe worlds like the Ixians, they kind of make gadgets and devices, and then you have the Tleilaxu, who are kind of like the biological technology. But both of these groups, they kind of play with, they kind of push the bounds of the Butlerian Jihad. They push it. Sometimes they even cross it. Personally, I'm much more worried about something like what happened in Dune happening than Terminator. Because you think about an artificial intelligence, and you think about a person. We behave the way we are, and we have the emotions that we have, and we are the way we are because of millions of years of evolution by natural selection. We evolved to survive in certain environments, and that gives us pretty much all that we are. But if we design an artificial intelligence, we don't have to give it any of that. We don't have to give it desire. We don't have to give it hatred. We don't have to give it anger. We don't have to give it any of these things that make humans humans. It's possible to have an artificial intelligence that is intelligent, but that is not like us. And that's why I like what the Reverend Mother said so much in Dune. She said, the OC Bible should have said, you shouldn't make a machine to counterfeit a human mind. An artificial intelligence doesn't have to be an exact copy of everything that is human, right? But still, the problem lies. And the problem is, once the people are dependent on artificial intelligence, the people that are in charge of that artificial intelligence, the people that are programming that artificial intelligence have huge sway on us. Think about all the stuff that's already going on with these huge companies like Facebook and Google and Apple. They're all spying on us. They all have algorithms that are constantly gathering data about us. Knowledge truly is power, and that is a lot of power to wield. But the thing is, in our society today, like once the momentum is built up, how can you go back from that? Like we can't just give up this technology now. It would kind of ruin society. Like I said, if the internet went away, we would lose so much. And that also happened in Dune. After the Butlerian Jihad, humanity's quality of life dropped significantly. It was really bad for a long time, but what it did was it created the need for humans to become better. They needed to like perform the complex calculations that the computers could, so that led to the rise of the guild, and that led to the rise of the Bene Gesserit, and that led to the rise of the Spacing Guild, who are just like pure mathematics. What I think is interesting, though, is that Leto II kind of viewed prescience like humanity viewed thinking machines. Leto saw prescience as the death of humanity, as the bane of humanity. And so in the Golden Path, part of it was making humanity immune to prescience. He didn't want any one person to be able to affect humanity on such a large scale with prescience. He knew that that would lead to ultimate destruction. So I think that kind of the message that we're supposed to get from the Butlerian Jihad is that sometimes human ingenuity can lead to laziness, and laziness is the downfall of humanity. This can be our downfall. Our technology can be our downfall if we use it as a crutch. Ultimately, I think Leto saw that anything that's used as a crutch could lead to the downfall of humanity. He knew the monopoly on spice would eventually end. When he's talking about the deep treasures that are hidden under Arrakis, I think what Leto was talking about was the worms. He knew that the worms would leave the planet and populate other planets. That's what he was saying there, in my opinion. What Leto wanted was for people to live in their instincts again, and they couldn't do that with prescience. So in the Dune books, they obviously do still have machines. They don't have thinking machines. Like I said, there are the Ixians that produce all types of devices, like poison snoopers, which detect poison. They've got like glow globes. They've got shields. But none of these things think, so the Butlerian Jihad doesn't apply to them. So yeah, like I said, humanity had to improve themselves. So basically, humans are the new thinking machines. Humans filled all those. They use people as tape recorders. They use people to transmit secret messages without them even knowing it, perhaps. The Mentats, like I mentioned before, are of course the human computers, and they can compute even faster than the greatest of the thinking machines. And speaking of Mentats, another way people kind of moved beyond machines is drugs. The Mentat, for instance, have sappho juice, which increases their ability to think. And then there is, of course, the spice melange, which heightens awareness, and it is also a geriatric substance. And yes, that is the proper use of the word geriatric. I've seen some of you comment in the comments before that I was using geriatric incorrectly. No, even in the book it says the geriatric spice. What Frank Herbert is saying in Dune is that it refers to aging. So the spice is also heavily relied upon by people like the Guild. It's just an all-around human-enhancing drug, but with one big caveat, and that is that it will kill you if you stop taking it, so you better make sure you have a steady supply of it. So basically what the Society in Dune had to do was they had to trade in certain things for other things without the benefit of thinking machines. And I would assume that in some ways it is worse, but it seems like most people in the Dune universe get why the Butlerian Jihad was needed, and they feel like it's better now than it was back then. The bottom line is, I do think technology is definitely a crutch. A lot of people think we're getting stupider. I don't think we're getting stupider. I think we're getting more distracted and more dependent on technology. I'm dependent. I have to watch myself because I type a lot, and the autocorrect is totally a crutch. It's like I forget how to spell certain words because I'm so dependent on autocorrect a lot of times when I'm typing on the computer. So when I actually have to write something, it's like I have to think for a little bit longer, how do I spell this? I think that maybe perhaps what they did in Dune by expunging all thinking machines might have been a little bit too extreme, maybe humans could have learned to better themselves in balance with thinking machines. I think that's the direction that we should move toward, because I think that AI could potentially have so many benefits for the world. And if I think humans could mature enough, and if we could evolve past our childhood phase and move into the adult phase as a species, then maybe we could live with AI and maybe not destroy ourselves in the process. But you see, that's the thing. We have to mature before we get to the point where it's too late. And see, that's the thing. If we're already there and then we're talking about, oh, let's try and mature, it's going to be too late. And maybe it's already too late. Maybe the momentum is just built up too far and we're just not mature enough and we're already in it. Because in a lot of ways, it already feels like we're inside of an episode of Black Mirror. That's why I think that show is so freaking terrifying and so amazing. At least the second two seasons. The first two seasons before Netflix got a hold of it aren't as good, but those second two seasons of Black Mirror are freaking amazing. And I love how they explore the idea of consciousness, and in my opinion Black Mirror does a way better job than Westworld with it. Like, Black Mirror is really exploring what it means to be conscious, and like, what if you come up with conscious machines, then what? But it's so much to think about, and these are extremely complicated questions, and I don't think that we're at a point in our society where we're even ready to talk about this. We have so many people in our society that just flat out reject science and don't even care. Like, our government is so anti-science right now in the United States. It's just ridiculous. And there is a lot to be fearful about, I think. We have so much capability and so much power, and in the wrong hands, this power can be devastating. And I guess we'll see what happens in the future, but it's very easy to be cynical. It's very easy to think that maybe something like the Butlerian Jihad is going to happen, and we're going to have to get rid of all the thinking machines, and we're just going to be hurled back centuries as far as technology goes, and we're going to have to reinvent ourselves as people. Maybe that is what's necessary, or maybe we will inevitably be destroyed by thinking machines. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe we'll destroy ourselves. There's so many ways we could lead ourselves into oblivion. And I think misuse of AI is one of those possibilities. And I think the worst case scenario would be not humans being extinct, but us just living in a society where the bottom of us are just like totally enslaved. I know some people are going to say that's now, but like, really, just like totally enslaved. I'm talking about like a 1984 situation where it's like ultimate technocracy, and you've got the elites on the top that are in control of the technology, and they're controlling us, and we're just all on the bottom. We have no say so. We can't escape it because the civilization is so advanced that anything that you do is monitored. Anything that you do is detected beforehand and calculated beforehand. There is no revolution in a situation like this. How do you revolt against something like that? So something so immensely powerful. That's what's really scary to me, when you have a government that just knows everything about you. And then also what scares me too, and this is weird, is that these new doors that Amazon has, where the person can unlock your door from the inside. It's like, don't put technology in your freaking in your door. I mean, because once the government can just hack your door and lock you inside of your house, I mean, oh my god. And then Amazon Alexa, you want to put a bunch of audio recorders in your house that record everything you say and do. I know my phone is sitting right here on the desk. I know my phone is I know it is recording everything that I'm saying, but you just want more of that? I don't need any of that stuff. Yeah, so, but maybe that's just my paranoia. But I think that, to wrap all this up, the Butlerian Jihad was about men in control of technology subjugating other men with that technology. That's what it was about. I feel as though Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson failed with their Butlerian Jihad books. I don't think that was what was going on. But no hate. If you like those books, then that's totally fine. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed this Dune Talk video. And if you want more, just let me know, and I'll make more videos where it's just me talking to you guys about Dune, because I can talk about Dune for hours. It's my favorite science fiction series ever. I mean, I like a lot of books. I like a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, but Dune is definitely number one as far as sci-fi concerns. And also, if you like the Foundation, check out my most recent Foundation video. I talk about the mule, who is a very interesting character, and I talked about early in this video how Leto didn't want a person to affect humanity on such a mass level. That's kind of what the mule does. You have this guy named Harry Seldon who had this plan for humanity, and the mule disrupts his plan because he can affect a bunch of people on a large scale. So check that out if you want some more classic science fiction. Asimov definitely inspired Frank Herbert. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.